Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, companies have increasingly established online operations to remain competitive, improve efficiencies, and directly communicate with supply chain partners. As businesses rely heavily on the internet, they're facing greater exposure to hackers. A September 2022 analysis by Moody's revealed which industries and sectors face the greatest risks to cybersecurity threats. Successful cyber attacks can be costly, damaging, and lead to serious disruptions. Transportation and warehousing companies, for example, have incurred the highest financial losses, averaging about $4.6 million per attack over the past 10 years. For some companies, a cyber attack might affect their ability to make debt payments. Moody's looked at 71 global sectors to see how vulnerable these sectors are against cyber threats. Sectors account for $80.9 trillion in debt. Moody's rated the sectors on a scale of low to very high exposure. Risk exposure levels are calculated based on how digitized a sector is, how critical the sector is to the broader economy, and how strong its mitigation strategies are. Some industries are at very high risk of attack, like utilities and hospitals. Countries with advanced economies and sovereign governments are among the most attractive targets, but have best-in-class cyber defense systems. Sectors with any kind of online presence or digitized systems, like telecom firms, paper product makers, and even housing associations, are exposed to possible financial loss, disruption, or technological failure. The Voronoi is explorable. Users can hover over risk levels and view a sector's total outstanding debt. Moody's also assessed sectors' overall cyber risk by considering two factors: exposure, which measures the sector's interconnectedness and digitization; mitigation, which evaluates cyber defense measures that can reduce damage or prevent attack. To determine the overall risk score, Moody's looks at 5 subcategories: systemic role, digitization, perimeter vulnerability, basic cyber practices, and estimated financial loss. The B-Swarm chart with tooltips reveals a sector's risks across all subcategories. The nuts and bolts of this data inform the overall score. Users can drill down by comparing sectors' exposure within an industry. Insurance companies, for example, have some of the strongest defenses to stop malware attacks. Education and utility sectors face very high risk because of weaker mitigation plans. To reduce risk, sectors must continue to improve basic cyber hygiene and vulnerability management. The glyph chart presents each sector's overall score, which are derived from the subcategories. Moody's final scores show how global cyber risk exposure changed since the previous report. Nearly 30% of all sectors experienced a rise in exposure. As the U.S. has fortified its cyber defenses, hackers have shifted their attention to less prepared regions. Nearly 60% of all ransomware attacks in 2022 were outside of the U.S. Less digitized sectors like coal mining and construction face lower threat exposure. In recent years, organizations have sped their move to digitized processes, information, systems, and networks. That transformation potentially leaves a door open for opportunistic hackers.